Hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video with me, Tim Jones. Now I have the amazing Vanda Ralevska. I keep saying her name wrong, I've just done it there. So.
It was perfect.
Oh, that was perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So today what we're going to be talking about is Vanda's amazing work, and we're going to do some separate videos today as well. So this video is, we're going to be talking about Vanda's journey with photography, and then we're going to talk about all the amazing prints, and then we're going to do separate videos on paper choice for her work, and then also for books as well, and bookmaking, and how Vanda has also tried like publishing routes and self-publishing and things like that. But before we dive into any of that, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel and also sign up to the Fotospeed newsletter. I'll put links and everything in the description below, also to all Vanda's work and websites and where you can buy all these lovely books and prints and everything as well in there. So that's a little bit of housekeeping out of the way, and you don't really want to hear from me. So I'm going to thank Vanda, first of all, for coming in. And I know that we've worked together with Fotospeed off and on for a good number of years. It's kind of, but you're coming more in now as an ambassador and kind of talking about your work. And I know you spoke for us at the photography show, so it's yeah, thank you. It's fabulous, and it's always great just to see your work in actual person as well, because I'm a big fan of it. So really, I want to say though, for this video, we're going to be talking about kind of where you came from and how you kind of ended up possibly, well, we're talking a little bit about how you ended up in the UK, but also how you came to photography and your journey through photography, really. So let's start from the beginning. How did you kind of, where did it all start for you?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you very much, Tim, for inviting me. It's actually my pleasure. And it was also my pleasure to do the talk at the stand. It's always fun to share your work, I think.
Oh, definitely. Show people and talk about it. It's all. Yeah. That's what we do it for.
It's all about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you probably wonder where my name comes from. It's a little bit more complicated, but I do come from Czechoslovakia. I was born in Czechoslovakia, as it was called then, but my dad was Macedonian, so that's where the surname comes from. My mum was born in Poland, so that's where the first name comes from. But I am Czech, born Czech, and that's where I grew up. I grew up in an industrial city in the northeast, just on the border with Poland and Slovakia. It used to be a coal mining city. It used to be called Black Ostrava, or the steel heart of the Republic. So you can probably imagine what it was like. There are towns and cities like this here. So I didn't really feel at that time, I guess, there was much to photograph. But once I got my first camera from my dad, and I was in my teens, can't remember exactly when it was, but it was a long time ago, things changed. I suddenly started to see differently, and that passion grew out of that. It was a communist country when I was growing up, and we didn't really get a chance to travel to any exotic countries. Traveling to West was unheard of.
So it was still under Soviet control at that point?
Yeah, it was. So we could travel to Poland, perhaps, to other communist countries. We used to go to Bulgaria a lot for holidays with Mum. But generally, you know, we didn't have an opportunity to travel to any beautiful countries. Sorry, I'm not saying that countries are not beautiful, but those sort of very iconic views. And living in an industrial city also didn't offer any breathtaking views. But the camera taught me how to appreciate what I have and where I was. And it actually taught me to see the beauty in a place like that.
Beauty in the chaos.
Yeah, in the chaos, and also in that atmosphere of the coal mining. I don't know if you can even imagine. I still remember the trolleys going from sort of above heads from the coke factory to the mines, or from the mines to the coke factory. There is a lot of legacy there now, and it's all different now because they closed all the coal mines, but they actually created a museum area from one of the ironworks with the coal mine, and you can go and you can actually see how it used to work. You can go up the blast furnaces and have the beautiful view of the city, and the camera really taught me how to appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. I was told by a photographer once when I was like studying and things that you always start with your home. You should always start where you live and then work out.
Yes.
So if you can't photograph where you live and what's around you, then you shouldn't really have the right to photograph outside of that.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Because
to a point, yeah.
we quite often don't appreciate where we live because we always want it to be somewhere else. We always wanted to go to these wonderful places where everybody else goes. But what about on your doorstep? You know, if you look around, you will see how beautiful it is around you.
Yeah, and it's finding that beauty in the chaos, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's very rewarding. It's actually much more rewarding to find the beauty where other people don't see it.
Yeah, I think the Japanese call it, is it wasabi?
Wasabi or kintsugi as well.
Yes, it's that
beauty
kind of,
in imperfection.
Yes, beauty in imperfection, yes. And that fleeting moments, isn't it? That everyone else walks by, but it's just that perfect
it's just there.
That perfect moment. So that was, I expect when you were growing up, it's that turbulent time as well.
Yes.
As well. Yeah. So at that point, did you come over to the UK, or was it a little bit later on, or?
Yeah, it was later on.
Because the Czech Republic was a little bit out of everything that went on when the Soviet Union split up and things.
Yes,
if I remember rightly. So it's.
So in 1989, that was Velvet Revolution, when the communists finally left.
Yes, yeah.
Or were made to leave, and when we became a free country, if you can call that. So we could start traveling. At that time, I graduated from university. I got my first job, but it was not until later when I first came to UK, and that was actually to come to Oxford to study teaching English as a foreign language.
Okay.
And it was one of those language schools in Oxford, and that was the time when I fell in love with the country. It was a time when we didn't have a lot of money because it was still kind of quite early after the revolution, and so we travelled by bus, by coach, so 24 hours on the coach. But there was an exciting part of the journey, which was on the ferry, and that was from Calais to Dover, and that was when I first time saw England and saw the white cliffs of Dover, and it was the sunrise, and the view was absolutely breathtaking, and I just fell in love with the country there and then. And then I started to get to know it a bit better. I spent a little bit more time there or here. And somewhere deep inside, I knew that I belonged here for some reason. I can't explain it. It was something that kept drawing me back, and I came here a couple of times after that. And then a few years later, I had a job as a translator for a company translating software, because I actually studied maths and physics and computer science, so I am a software programmer. And that company sent me to UK to do some translations for Xerox machines of their software. And that's when I decided that I really wanted to stay here, because I had suddenly had this experience of working here. I was here for a month. I got to know a few people. I went to Hatfield University to ask if I could study for my MSc here, and got accepted, and all just evolved from there.
Yeah. And all this time you were doing photography?
And all this time I was doing photography.
Both in the Czech Republic and
yes,
back in the UK as well?
Yeah. I guess when I came to England, I became a little bit more serious about it. Because this country is absolutely amazing.
Did you think it was that change of scenery and you're just
yes.
like, oh, I've got more things to photograph? I kind of photographed everything in the Czech Republic or around your area as well. When you go back now, do you bring that kind of in reverse, kind of flips over? You go back and you think, oh wow, okay, there's new things, there's this, there's that, and things, because a mixture of your pictures, are they shot in both countries?
Yes.
In both kind of, and we'll never know which.
No, because that's the thing. I guess I see the same things, but I do have.
I mean, some of them are quite obvious, I'd imagine.
Yes,
like this
you
one,
would see that.
But yeah, this.
But that one is that one, for example, that's from High Tatras in Slovakia.
Yes.
So which was a part of Czechoslovakia in the past, now and not anymore. But yeah, and there are some pictures that I have on my website and I take in the Czech Republic when I go back, even on the estate where I grew up, because I'm finding more and more interesting things to photograph. And you're right, your opinion and your vision changes once you leave and come back after a while. And I dare say you appreciate it more.
Yeah, I'd imagine you do.
Yeah.
Especially coming out of London back, I suppose.
And even my hometown and home city, I still enjoy the industrial part of it, and maybe that influence from where I grew up was transferred to here as well, because one of my projects is about Thames Estuary, which is very industrial, and it is very. It's the combination of nature, natural world, and the industrial world on the edge. You know? So
I'm always interested in that industrial to landscape, and it's kind of and that juxtaposition.
Yes.
I know I've seen some work in Vietnam and things. It's very much that you kind of got the old towns and old kind of villages and things next to these massive skyscrapers that they're building, and kind of it's always that lovely juxtaposition.
And it's extremely interesting, and there's a lot of history there as well. I think everything where you grow up is definitely important to explore first.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And that also influences you when you move out and move on and try different things.
I think you need that inspiration, don't you, sometimes of a new area, perhaps, or move just down the road a bit and think about what's there. But if you're ever in doubt, you can just go out and take a walk and kind of find things there as well. So, with your photography, what drives you? What's it kind of? Is there any intent behind it, or is it, like you said, finding that beauty in kind of imperfection, or kind of discovering these places?
I'm a very outdoor person, so I would start from that. I love being outside, and I love walking, hiking. I just love the great outdoors, and I think that just goes with photography. And if I can capture those moments when I am outside, that's a real bonus. And that's what probably drives me. I would say that's what drives me. Being outside and enjoying the moment and the here and now, wherever I am. You know, it doesn't really need to be in an iconic place like this, but it can be just along the Thames, like this one, in one of the places, anonymous places, because this could be anywhere along the river. It could be anywhere along any river. So that's what really drives me to capture that beauty that is around us that we quite often don't see. I love looking for extra in the ordinary.
Yes, I was going to say it's like the ordinary places where you might go and walk around, and you get the classic views, I suppose, of things. But then it's nice just to go into those, and I love the colour in your work as well. It's just quite subtle colour in some cases, but then quite striking, but also within keeping as well, especially kind of in this one here with the greens and things. Is that something you edit too? You kind of
I do take pictures in RAW, so I have to edit, but I edit it as best as I can to preserve that moment when I saw what I saw. So the colours are as I remember them.
Yeah.
So I bring the colours out of the RAW file, but to the extent that this is what it looked like when I was there.
So you don't do a lot post-processing.
Try not
you
to.
might just kind of bring things out as well, which is even more.
Yeah, and I do like subtle colours. I do like subtle colours. I also like bold, and I like dark, and I like going out at night. You know, so that's very different. And you got completely different feel. But that comes from my love of early mornings. So I used to get up for the sunrises. And then I thought, well, if I need to be somewhere for the sunrise, I need to get up earlier, to be there earlier, to find the space. And then suddenly I started to realise, oh, I really do like blue hour, because that's when everything is calm, everything is still sleeping, and that's the transition between a night and day. And also, if you don't get a sunrise, you always get the blue hour. So you always get that really magical moment, and then you can come back home and you think, oh yeah, that was a really nice morning. So when you want to be somewhere for the blue hour, you need to turn up before.
Yes.
So you get up even earlier, and you get up, and then I found out that I actually love the night as well, especially on a night like this when you've got full moon and a bit of mist.
I like shooting at night. It's there's something about it, isn't there?
Yeah, and that was shot locally in Bushy Park as well, and that's the thing about being local, because you get to know the place so well, and you get to know little spots, and you know that you would like to take. Well, I wanted to take a picture of this tree for a long time, and I tried several times in different conditions, and that morning was the perfect morning.
Yeah, I've got a tree like that near me, and I must have photographed it for about 10 years now, and I still haven't got anything I'm happy with. So one day you will. One day it will happen. It will happen. Yeah. You will be there. Yeah, it'll just. I know. It's just after 10 years, I'm just thinking,
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Please don't give up.
It'll happen. I'm sure.
And one day you're gonna put a book together with pictures of the tree over the years.
the bad photography and the one good.
I'm sure it's not bad. I really believe it's not.
I suppose it's like the light bulb analogy. It's like, you made 1,000 light bulbs, but only one worked. And you think, well, that's all you need.
The patience. You need the patience. That's what it is about.
I mean, that's just perfect with the lovely arch and the sun coming up and.
This is actually moon.
Oh, was it the moon? Is it? Sorry, I always get confused.
It was incredible. I do as well, because it was an incredible morning. I went to the park to photograph the full moon. It was snow moon this year, and I thought, and then sort of a day before, I thought, oh, what a winter we had. We didn't have any mist, any frost, and suddenly I turned up in Bushy Park, and there's frost, and there's mist, and there's full moon, and all these things just came together, and that was just an amazing morning, and that was the reward for it, and some other pictures as well. Including sunrise, because on the other side of the park there was sunrise, so I ran from that place to, to the other side. Wow. to photograph other trees.
Yeah, no, it just looks the colour as well.
And the colour, it's amazing how much colour you get in night.
Yes.
Or at least at the end of the night.
And it's the camera can see more than you in
Yes.
some cases as well,
Yeah.
especially long shutters and things like that, long shutter speeds and things. So it's always like, it's that discovery, isn't it?
Yeah.
In some cases, and you just discover this. And I always like hand-hold him, because it's just the style of what I do, I suppose. Like, and it's kind of just that little bit shaky and things. It's just, I prefer it at night.
That is the imperfect perfection.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I mean, you've done a lot of books as well, which we're going to do a whole new, a different video on, because you've brought lots with you.
Yeah.
And I think you've, looking at the books, like your scenic detours here. So this was a book predominantly about the UK,
Yes,
and looking
it is
through.
about UK. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's not a book that someone from the UK could probably produce, if that makes sense, because it's looking at it with different eyes. And I love the symmetry between the pages as well, and some of it is quite, it's quite funny, because we all know a place like this one with the caravan and the old truck.
Yes.
I can think of one right now, actually. And it's, I mean, these bizarre things you find.
Yeah, it's for me, this is England. You know, this book, it's not, somebody would say it's not typical Vanda Ralevska, but it actually is, because I've got quite a broad mind. And these are, most of the images were taken on our walks and hikes in UK.
Typically English, a phone box on a beach. Don't think you get that in Czech Republic, would you?
No, you wouldn't. No, definitely not. And this is what you typically see when you go walking in the countryside. But there are lots of these scenes are the scenes that people just walk past, but I still find quirkiness.
We're used to it.
And it's funny, and it's quintessentially English to me.
Yeah, I suppose Martin Parr's made a bit of a career doing it, but it's. I think yours is, it's typically kind of, you've got
Just
wish trees
observation.
and things.
Oh, yeah, observation.
I'm sure there is Czech equivalents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I am really drawn to the Englishness. Everything about the English fascinates me.
I suppose we just don't see it.
Yeah, and then again, because you live here and you English, so you looking at your country slightly differently, like I look at my country differently.
Do you think there's a difference like the Welshness and the Scottishness as well? Is
Oh
that
yeah, definitely.
Oh wow, yeah. So with your work, is it predominantly you exhibit as well?
I do. I haven't had a solo exhibition yet, but actually I do enjoy groups or joint exhibitions, because you again, it's about the sharing, isn't it? And
especially sharing the cost.
Yeah, and you're sharing the cost, sharing the images, sharing the ideas.
Your work seems very peaceful.
I'm glad
it's that calming. You get this sense of calm and coming through it. Do you think that's it's there for your relaxation as well, and that's you coming through it? It's kind of busy, and then this is your kind of quiet, looking for that beauty and kind of.
This is my kind of antidote to my busy life, to my busy job. This is my time. This is the time when I can relax and I don't have to think about anything else. Just being there and being in the moment and picking up the camera when something makes me gasp. Something that takes my breath away, or something that makes me stop. And just enjoy that moment and don't even think about anything else. Don't even think about coming back home. Don't think about driving back home if I am somewhere a little bit further away. Just think about that moment and being in it and enjoying it.
Now, I always ask people this as well, because you take pictures for yourself primarily, and then obviously people love them and buy them and look at your books and
hope so.
I love listening to you with your talks and things like that, because I know you're very inspiring when you listen and talk as well. I know I've seen a few talks by you now.
That's what it is about.
Do things and inspire that creativity and not kind of be governed by things like social media, for instance.
Definitely not.
No. Do you think that, would you say, and like I said, I always ask everyone this, do you think that social media has an impact on, well, firstly, I suppose your photography, but also photography as a wider genre, because everyone's looking for those Instagram ready shots, and which all your work probably is stunning and amazing. So it's, you kind of put it up there and you think, I'm just
no.
But I do know that some people are shooting just to get the followers and likes in some respects, and I know we all have to play the game a little bit, but I'm always interested in different photographers' views on it, and what you think about it, really. And
that's quite an interesting question. Social media to me is a little bit like double-edged sword. It is really good to connect with people, and in the past, when we didn't have social media, we just connected with a few friends, and we couldn't share our work globally.
I suppose it was getting a feature in a magazine or something, or getting people to an exhibition to see your work and getting discovered, I suppose. But
now you can share it throughout the whole world, with the whole world. Which is a really
they
nice.
might not always look, but you can share. It's out there to the whole
exactly.
world.
And you can meet people. I met actually very nice people through social media. I prefer meeting people in person, but through social media you can meet really lovely people in person. So that's the positive, definitely. The negative is that. How would I put it? It can knock your confidence. Absolutely. If you share something and it doesn't get many likes, and you think, oh, what have I done wrong?
I always think a good way to think about that, if you don't get many likes, is well, Instagram hasn't shown it to the right people, for one, or social media hasn't shown it to the right people. And that's very true. And just think like that, but also moving on, kind of building on that as well, that, what is there, 3 billion, 4 billion people on Instagram just alone? There's going to be at least 1,000 people that like it in the world somewhere. It's just getting it to them.
It's just getting it, exactly. It's all about getting it to them. But it really depends on how important it is to you. And for me, primarily, I do take photographs for myself and for those moments that I enjoy. And I do like sharing them. I don't share all of my work, but some of it. And
I suppose sometimes it's like, oh, have you got an Instagram? They don't ask for your website now. It's always
it's all Instagram, and I actually prefer working on my website because it's on your website you can actually tell more about yourself than on Instagram. And Instagram is really instant. It's Instagram, so it's instant. And people don't get an idea of who you are.
It's just quite throwaway. Because you are just scrolling through and flicking through.
And that's another negative about social media, is spending all that time scrolling through all the images. And obviously you want to give something back. You want to, and you have got people that you want to follow, but you have to spend time doing that. And
it is a lot of work.
It's about finding the balance, I guess, and like in everything. So I think it's a good thing that we have social media, but I would always take it with a pinch of salt. Take the photographs for yourself. Make sure that you're happy. The most important thing is that you're happy with what you do. And if somebody else can connect with you, somebody else can or likes your work, or gets inspired by your work, it's it's a wonderful feeling, and it's a cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, that as long as you're happy with it, I suppose.
Yeah. And does it matter if you get the likes or not?
No.
At the end of the day, it doesn't.
There's too many factors, I think, involved. One, the algorithms showing you your work to loads of people, but also if someone's flicking through like this, they might just see your work and go, oh, that's amazing, and just flick on. They're not going to like it. They're not going to. It's a trends and things and comments, and people haven't got time probably to comment.
I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone, because I don't have time to do all that. So
it's about looking at your own social media kind of activity and going from there, really.
I think so. Sorry, because if you don't have time to do that, how can you expect other people to have time? So yeah, it's great to share, but the main thing is you're happy with what you do, as long as it brings you joy, and that's the reason why I photograph. That it brings me joy. That's right.
Because these are, you would see a scene and wait. They're not snapshots, are they?
No, you have
to
just sit and wait, and you have to go back to the place again and again, because you don't get those kind of conditions all the time. There is something really good that David Bailey said. I have to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly, but he's not very keen on landscape photography, because he reckons that there is no point in it, because if you have got enough patience, eventually you get that picture. So what's the point of it? The rock is always going to be there. It's going to, it's not going to move anywhere. And
I suppose for portrait, they could not be available or something.
He creates images. He can afford to say things like that,
of course
because
he
creates images. I do and take the images. I don't create them. I'm not like artists or some other artists that actually create the images. I capture the moments that make me stop.
There's certain planning involved, I'd imagine.
We used to go to Thursley Common with my partner's grandsons for walks, because it's lovely. It's a lovely place to walk around, and it never looked like this, obviously, because it was in the afternoon or later in the morning. But when you know that the weather forecast is frosty morning and a little bit of mist, then you go to places like this and hope. It's
always in the back of your mind. I'll take the camera.
Just see what happens. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, we mentioned the cameras there, and I know everyone's always interested in gear. But we're going to do a whole separate video on the prints and talking about the papers and things. But I know your favourite paper at the moment is NST Bright White.
It is.
But I have printed some on some others, which we'll do in the next video, to kind of maybe give you a few extra options, possibly.
I look forward to that.
But I know you always come back to NST Bright White because it's so kind of, it just does everything, doesn't it?
It's
kind of,
it's perfect.
It's like a bulletproof paper, really. It's kind of one of those. But camera-wise, we're going to talk briefly about gear. We're not going to get too much into it. But camera-wise, what do you kind of use, and what's your kind of go-tos and things like that?
I use Fujifilm now.
Okay.
So I've got Fujifilm X-T5, but I started using Fuji since X-T1, and I've just fell in love with it. So first time I picked it up, I used to use Nikon. So I was a Nikon girl, and I still have got my Nikon D800. I even have got the film one that I had, the first SLR I had, Nikon F50, I think that was.
F50, yeah.
Still have it, but it's in the cupboard, unfortunately. And the same with the D800, because it's so heavy, and all the equipment is so heavy. So I wanted to downsize a bit and have something that I can just carry around, and it's a lovely camera. But at the end of the day, the best camera is the one that you have on you, isn't it?
Yes,
so even if it's just a phone,
very true.
So it doesn't really matter what camera you use to take these photographs. It's what you see.
You also use case filters as well.
I use case filters, and I love them again. Since the first time I tried them, they just very easy to handle. They don't have any color cast. And I do love using filters, especially for water, so seascapes. But in the landscapes, I like using the graduated ones because I like sort of evening out the exposure. I know that nowadays, because we digital, you can just take several exposures and merge them in Photoshop. But I just
there's something about it actually doing it there.
Doing
I think
it
you get
on
a different look.
Yes.
Different. You think not a different look, but you might think differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of.
And
what
it slows
gives.
you down as well.
Yeah,
the same
definitely.
with the tripod. You know, you put the camera on the tripod, you put the filters up. It slows you down, and you can actually take the photograph while you're enjoying the moment as well, as opposed to having the camera in front of you and pressing the button all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So, there's something about that, I think.
Yeah.
Do you ever use like ND filters? And
yes,
things as
and
well?
I love using. They're my
of
favourite filters. So like this
something
one,
with a bit of blur.
this one was just a 3-stop because it was quite. It wasn't dark, but it was getting lighter, so I had to use a 3-stop filter.
Oh,
but I love using a 15 stop or 10 stop.
Oh wow! Yeah.
15 is a little bit too much actually. 10 stop filter is perfect, or 6 stop as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love slowing down the exposure, but I do like preserving the movement in the sea. So you see still the
not going too far, so it's
structure.
perfectly
You still see the movement.
still. Yeah. Oh no, they're beautiful.
Thank you.
Now all these are on your website.
Yes.
And you also have them for sale as well on your website. So
if anybody wants to buy the print, just
drop me a message.
Drop me a message.
Yeah. No, that's fine because they're fabulous, and I think hopefully it appeals to a lot of people as well, because I mean I'm always in awe by your work and things as well. So
Thank
it's
you.
kind of what it is and things. So, well, thank you so much. That's probably a good place to kind of stop there. And yeah, thank you for explaining all that, how your thought process with photography, but also your reasons behind photography as well, and kind of where you've come from and where the photography's grown, I suppose, over time. So what's the next steps though? That's my very last question. Where are you going next? What's the plan? Is it just more of kind of this walk here, kind of doing that, or you've got other plans or projects? And
yeah, I think because over the years, like you said, you evolve. So I also evolved, and I started to work on projects. It happened quite naturally because one image stopped being enough, because I don't feel that one image can express how you feel or can capture a sense of place or the subject that you photograph. So I started to photograph in collections and work on projects. So that's where I'm heading. And books, because we're going to talk about it later.
yeah,
I'm a bit obsessed with books. Yeah. I've got an addiction, a book addiction. So I really want to do more
I'm
of
always
that.
torn about the frame print on the wall or the book, and you just have to do both, but sometimes you're kind of torn a little bit budget-wise, perhaps.
Yeah,
you kind of be, wow. Yeah, they're both different things, I suppose.
But I think if you're working on a project, then it is really nice to finalize it. I'm not saying finish it, because I don't like completing projects, because if I'm enjoying something so much, I don't really want to finish it. But as my boyfriend said, just put a semicolon behind it.
Yeah.
So that semicolon can be a book.
I think everyone does. I know that it's a good way to release a new version, isn't it?
Yes, and then you've got volume 2 and volume 3.
Yeah, and updates. Now with new added pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, well, thank you. And like I said, we're going to be doing a couple more videos about obviously a paper's printing and what it gives to a work, but also we're going to do a separate one on all your books as well, which all are fantastic, and different styles you've done them all in as well, and different finishes and things. So I'm looking forward to that one. So on that note, we will finish there. So thank you again to Paola for coming in and sharing your experiences and things with us. But before we go, don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel. Just click on the subscription button below, and also just check out the link to subscribe to the Fotospeed newsletter in the description. Don't forget, Vanda's work is in the description as well. Visit our website, have a look at this amazing work, and if you do like any of the pictures, please just drop you an email just to kind of use a contact form, and Vanda will come back with you some prices and things like that of what all this amazing work could be sitting on your wall. So on that note, again, thank you to Vanda, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.